Imagine this. Someone looks at you with contempt. Their voices are sharp. Their tone is dismissive. They cut you off. Talk over you. Undermine you in front of others. For a split second, everything inside you reacts. Your chest tightens. Your mind races. You feel the urge to defend yourself, to prove your worth, to strike back. But then something different happens. You pause. You do not react. You do not chase their approval. You do not lower yourself to their level. And in that moment, something shifts. Because true power is not loud. It is not reactive. It is calm, controlled, and untouchable. Today, you are going to learn how to become that person. Introduction. Disrespect is one of the most uncomfortable experiences you can face. It does not matter who you are. It does not matter how strong you think you are. At some point, someone will look at you as if you are less. They will speak to you without consideration. They will dismiss your presence, your ideas, your value. And in that moment, something inside you reacts. It is fast. Almost automatic. Your mind starts building arguments. Your ego demands justice. Your emotions push you toward confrontation. You want to correct them. You want to defend yourself. You want to prove that they are wrong. But here is where most people lose control. They react without thinking. They speak from anger. They act from wounded pride. They let someone else dictate their internal state. And once that happens, the damage is already done. Because now, it is no longer about what was said. It is about how deeply it affected you. The Stoics saw this clearly. They understood that the real problem is not disrespect itself, but your inability to remain steady in the face of it. They trained themselves to become calm, not by avoiding conflict, but by mastering their reactions to it. And that is what you are going to learn. Not how to avoid disrespect. Not how to control others. But how to control yourself so completely that no one else can disturb your peace. Because the moment you master that, you become dangerous in the most powerful way. You become untouchable. Now let's begin with the first truth you must understand. Chapter 1. Why disrespect hurts you more than it should. Disrespect feels personal. It feels like an attack directed straight at you. But the truth is, it only feels that way because of what it triggers inside your mind. When someone disrespects you, they are not just speaking words. They are activating something deeper. A hidden insecurity. A fear of being seen as less. A need to be acknowledged and valued. And when those internal points are touched, the reaction feels intense. But here is the critical insight. The pain is not created by their words. It is created by your interpretation of those words. Two people can hear the exact same insult. One laughs it off. The other feels deeply hurt. Why? Because the meaning is not in the words. It is in the mind receiving them. The Stoics built their philosophy around this idea. They believe that external events are neutral. Nothing is inherently good or bad until you assign meaning to it. So when someone disrespects you, pause and examine your reaction. Ask yourself what exactly is being threatened. Is it your pride? Is it your self-image? Is it your desire to be respected by everyone? Because once you identify that, something powerful happens. You begin to separate reality from perception. You realize that the situation itself is not controlling you. Your interpretation is. And that realization gives you leverage. Because if you can change your interpretation, you can change your emotional response. And once you control your response, you take back your power. But to truly shift your perspective, you need a deeper mental framework. That is what we will explore next. Chapter 2. The Stoic Reframe that changes everything. Most people see disrespect as an attack. The Stoic sees it as information. This single shift changes everything. When someone disrespects you, your instinct is to think, they are attacking me. They are trying to diminish me. They are questioning my worth. But in reality, their behavior is revealing something about them. People act based on their internal state. A person who is calm, secure, and disciplined does not casually disrespect others. But someone who is frustrated, insecure, or lacking control will often project that outward. Their disrespect is not a measure of your value. It is a reflection of their condition. So instead of internalizing their behavior, observe it. See it for what it is. A display of their mindset. A signal of their emotional state. A glimpse into their character. And when you view it this way, the emotional charge disappears. Because you are no longer making it about you. You are simply recognizing reality. This does not mean you accept poor treatment. It means you refuse to let it disturb your inner balance. Because once your peace depends on how others behave, you become a prisoner to their actions. The Stoic breaks that chain. They understand that people will act according to their nature. And instead of reacting emotionally, they remain grounded. Calm. Observant. Unshaken. But understanding this intellectually is only the first step. The real challenge comes in the moment itself. When emotions rise and pressure builds. That is where true mastery is required. And that is what we will focus on next. Chapter 3, Mastering Emotional Control in the Moment. Everything changes in the moment of impact. It is easy to stay calm when nothing is happening. But when someone disrespects you directly, your system reacts instantly. Your heart rate increases. Your thoughts accelerate. Your body prepares for confrontation. This is not a weakness. It is human nature. But what separates disciplined individuals from reactive ones is what they do next. Most people act immediately. They interrupt. They argue. They escalate. And in doing so, they lose control. The Stoic takes a different approach. They pause. Not for a long time. Just enough to create space between the stimulus and the response. That space is everything. Because in that space, you regain control. Instead of reacting blindly, you observe what is happening. You notice the emotion rising. You acknowledge it without acting on it. And then, you choose your response. This is a skill. And like any skill, it requires practice. At first, it will feel unnatural. Your instincts will push you to react. But the more you train yourself to pause, the stronger your control becomes. Eventually, that pause becomes automatic. And in that pause, you become powerful. Because now, your actions are not driven by emotion. They are guided by intention. And that is what creates true calmness. But sometimes, the most powerful response is not action at all. Sometimes, it is silent. Let's explore why. Chapter 4, The Silent Power of Non-Reaction. Silence is often misunderstood. People associate silence with weakness, hesitation, or fear. But in reality, silence can be one of the most powerful responses available to you. When someone disrespects you, they are often seeking a reaction. They want engagement. They want emotional feedback. They want to pull you into their state. And when you react, you give them exactly what they want. You validate their behavior. You enter their frame. You allow them to influence your emotions. But when you remain silent, something different happens. You break the pattern. Your lack of reaction creates uncertainty. It removes their control. It forces them to confront their own behavior without reinforcement. Silence, when used correctly, communicates strength. It shows that you are not easily provoked. It shows that you are in control of yourself. It shows that you are not dependent on their validation. But silence is not about avoidance. It is about choice. You are not silent because you are unable to respond. You are silent because you have decided that a response is unnecessary. And that distinction is critical. Because true power is not about always speaking. It is about knowing when speaking adds value and when it does not. And that leads to the next level of mastery. Knowing exactly when to engage and when to walk away. Chapter 5, When to Respond and When to Walk Away. Not every situation deserves your attention. Not every comment deserves your response. And not every person deserves your energy. One of the greatest mistakes people make is treating every instance of disrespect as something that must be addressed. This leads to constant conflict, constant frustration, constant emotional drain. The Stoic understands that energy is limited, and they protect it carefully. So before responding, they evaluate the situation. They ask themselves, is this meaningful? Is this productive? Is this worth my time? If the answer is no, they walk away. Not out of fear, but out of discipline. Because engaging in meaningless conflict only lowers your standard. However, there are moments when a response is necessary. When boundaries must be set. When respect must be established. In those moments, the Stoic responds, but without emotion. No anger. No aggression. No need to prove anything. Just calm, direct communication. They say what needs to be said, clearly and confidently. And then they stop. They do not argue. They do not chase validation. They do not engage in endless back and forth. Because once you have expressed yourself with clarity, the outcome is no longer in your control. And that is enough. But to consistently operate at this level, you need something deeper than techniques. You need a strong internal foundation. That is what we will build next. Chapter 6, Building Unshakable Inner Authority. Everything comes back to this. Your internal state. If you are constantly affected by how others treat you, it means your sense of self is dependent on external validation. And that is unstable. Because people are unpredictable. Their opinions change. Their behavior fluctuates. Their respect is not consistent. So if your peace depends on them, your peace will always be fragile. The Stoic builds something different. They build inner authority. A sense of self that is not easily shaken. This does not come from words. It comes from actions. From discipline. From consistency. From living in alignment with your values. When you keep your promises to yourself, you build trust. When you control your impulses, you build strength. When you improve daily, you build confidence. And over time, this creates something powerful. A quiet certainty. You no longer need approval. You no longer seek validation. You no longer react to every opinion. Because you know who you are. And when you reach that point, disrespect loses its impact. It becomes background noise. Irrelevant. Because your value is no longer determined by others. It is defined by you. And that is true freedom. Now let's bring everything together. Conclusion. Disrespect is not something you can eliminate from your life. No matter how disciplined you become. No matter how successful you are. No matter how much you grow. There will always be someone who misunderstands you. Someone who underestimates you. Someone who speaks to you without the respect you deserve. That is reality. But what defines you is not what happens. It is how you respond to it. You have seen that the real pain of disrespect does not come from the words themselves, but from the meaning you attach to them. You have learned that disrespect is not a reflection of your worth, but a projection of someone else's internal state. You now understand that in every moment of tension, there is a space where you can choose your response. And in that space lies your power. You have discovered the strength of silence, the discipline of restraint, the clarity of knowing when to engage and when to walk away. And most importantly, you have seen that true calmness is not something you pretend. It is something you build. It is built through self-respect, through discipline, through an unwavering commitment to your own standards. Because when your sense of self is strong, no external disrespect can shake it. Think about that for a moment. Imagine walking into any situation, knowing that no word, no tone, no behavior can disturb your inner peace. Not because you are indifferent, but because you are in control. That is the Stoic ideal. To remain steady in chaos. To remain calm under pressure. To remain grounded when others lose themselves. And this is not something reserved for philosophers or ancient thinkers. It is a skill. A practice. A way of living that you can develop, starting now. Every moment of disrespect you face from this point forward is no longer a problem. It is an opportunity to practice control. An opportunity to strengthen your mind. An opportunity to rise above reaction and act with intention. Because every time you choose calmness over chaos, you become stronger. Every time you refuse to be provoked, you take back control. Every time you stand firm without losing your composure, you elevate yourself. And over time, this becomes who you are. A person who cannot be shaken. A person who cannot be controlled. A person who moves through the world with quiet, undeniable strength. So the next time someone disrespects you, do not see it as an attack. See it as a test. And respond in a way that proves you have already won. Final words. If you have stayed until this moment, then you already understand something most people never will. Calmness is not something you are born with. It is something you build, choice by choice, moment by moment. From this point forward, you will be tested. Someone will challenge you. Someone will disrespect you. Someone will try to pull you into their chaos. And in that moment, you will remember this. You will pause. You will stay grounded. You will choose control over reaction. Because that is where your power is. Not in proving others wrong. Not in winning arguments. But in mastering yourself. Make this your standard. Walk away from what is beneath you. Speak only when it adds value. And never let anyone dictate your inner state. That is how you separate yourself. That is how you become rare. And if this message resonated with you, take action right now. Like this video. Comment your thoughts below. Share this with at least 7 people who need to hear this. And subscribe to the Stoic Path for more powerful insights. Because the journey to becoming unshakable starts with a single decision. And that decision is yours.